Parts of the Florida Gulf Coast were under hurricane warnings as Hurricane Hermine rotated toward the state, packing 80 mph winds Thursday night. Governor Rick Scott urged areas along a long stretch of the coast centered on the so-called Big Bend, the elbow where the state's peninsula meets the Panhandle, to lay in food and water and make sure they had shelter ahead of the life-threatening hurricane, the first for the state since Wilma 11 years ago. "You can rebuild a home. You can rebuild property," Scott said. "You cannot rebuild a life." Hermine was just looming off the coast Thursday night, said Ari Cersolari, a meteorologist for the Weather Channel. "The whole Big Bend is in for a brutal night." The National Weather Service said Hermine, which was centered about 40 miles east of Apalachicola at 11 p.m. ET, was expected to make landfall late Thursday or early Friday somewhere between Apalachicola and Horseshoe Beach. Hurricane warnings were in effect for Sewanee, Hamilton, and Lafayette counties, and watches extended north and south to cover almost half the state along the Gulf of Mexico. Scott put 51 counties under a state of emergency and ordered all state offices closed Friday. With a hurricane comes the reality of price gouging for essentials. State Attorney General Pam Bondi activated Florida's emergency anti-price gouging regulations, barring retailers from raising prices on gasoline, water, lumber, and other necessities. The National Weather Service said Hermine was expected to produce rainfall from 5 to 10 inches over much of northwest Florida and southern Georgia through Friday, with possible localized deluges of 20 inches. A combination of a dangerous storm surge and rising tides will cause normally dry areas near the coast to be flooded, the Weather Service said, warning of life-threatening inundation within the next 12 to 24 hours along the Gulf Coast from Indian Pass to Longboat Key. The storm surge, heavy waves caused by persistent wind blowing onshore, is going to be the scariest part of Hurricane Hermine, Cersolari said. Scott visited with emergency officials Thursday in Wakulla County, in the middle of the Big Bend. Afterward, he announced that 6,000 National Guard members were on standby if needed. "We have a hurricane," Scott declared, adding that in Wakulla County you can see the river, the water is already coming in. "We're going to see a lot of flooding down there." Hours before Hermine's arrival, mandatory evacuations were already in effect in localized areas. A state of emergency was declared in Taylor County, on Apalachee Bay, and evacuations were ordered in several waterside communities. Several neighborhoods in Franklin County, on Apalachicola Bay farther west, were also under mandatory evacuation orders, including all of St. George and Dog Islands. Rising water overwhelmed wastewater treatment plants in Sarasota County. David Cash, manager of the county's Public Utilities Division, said the plants were inundated with double the usual daily average of 14 million gallons of wastewater. "If we have any failures, we can expect wastewater spills in some cases, backups in homes, so we're very concerned," Cash said. More than 4,000 sandbags were filled and distributed to residents in a few hours at just one sandbag station in Ocala, in Marion County. "We've been doing this for a couple of days now," said Sheriff's Lieutenant Chip Wildy, director of the county's Emergency Management Bureau. "Unfortunately, we can't wait on the wind to start blowing." But the wind was already creating problems across Florida, with worse yet to come. The State Highway Patrol closed the Sunshine Skyway Bridge on Interstate 75 between St. Petersburg and Manatee County at 1 p.m. because of winds topping 55 miles per hour. The system, which started as Tropical Depression 9, also led to hurricane and tropical storm advisories for parts of Georgia and the southeast corner of Alabama. In Georgia, Governor Nathan Deal declared a state of emergency for 56 counties, including parts of South, Central and Coastal Georgia. The State Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency warned of heavy rains, flooding, tornadoes and power failures. After making landfall, Hermine is likely to travel up the coast, forecasters warned, perhaps as far as Boston by Monday. Updated 3-day forecasts projected a line of heavy rain as much as 10 inches stretching from the Gulf Coast of North Florida to South Georgia all the way through to Delaware's Atlantic coast by Sunday night. "It could be a very lousy holiday weekend for a large part of the population," said Kevin Roth, a meteorologist for the Weather Channel. Skies were still sunny Thursday afternoon on North Carolina's Wrightsville Beach, but red flags fluttered in the breeze, warning of the high risk of dangerous waters. Lifeguards said the warnings were likely to remain in place until Monday. Before and after, that is generally when we have the most issues, Wrightsville Beach Ocean Rescue Lieutenant John Money told. You have beautiful weather conditions, but you have large swells, large breaking waves and extremely strong rip currents.